Hi, everybody. This is Patricia Cori coming to you live from the Azores Islands here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, coming to you from actually Atlantis. More and more people recognize that, which is so exciting, but I've always known. So I'm going to take a few minutes for people to come into the chat room. This is going to be interesting. This is a question and answer format, and lots of people have sent me lots of probing questions, so this should be good. Ella, I'm so glad you're there, sweetheart. Very nice to see you. Okay, so before I get started, because I'm dealing with some particular energies at the moment, I'm going to create well, I always do actually, but I want to create a sacred space. So let me take this time while people are coming in to do that. I call upon the angel warriors of light, the guardians, councils of the highest vibratory signatures, the Syrian High Council, all light beings of the highest intention, asking that all concerned be encircled in an impenetrable blanket of golden white light. We ask that this serve as a barrier against any energies that are not of the highest intention, and we invite them back to their source to be dealt with as is according to their karmic destiny. Into this sphere of incredible global light, we invite the highest intention, the greatest light, the vastness of the one heart. Aho, Great Spirit. Aho. Okay. Peter Brightman, well, I'll be damned. Hiya. Okay, who have we got here? Lizette, you made it. That's wonderful. Monica Stardust. What a name. How beautiful. Maria, thank you for being here. Dee. I can wait a little bit longer and then we get rolling. So, okay, so while I'm waiting for everybody to come in, as you know, this is your first live stream with me, not your last. Luciana, I hope. Kingslayer. Oh, Kingslayer. That's even better. Spirit Eyes, welcome everybody. All right, so before I get really rolling, since it's going to take a minute for everybody to come in, I'm going to talk about a few preliminaries. Hi, oh, Elaine, thank you for being here. For starters, the silly things, like in the group of questions that I'm getting, people say to me, why don't you get your hair out of your eyes? Get serious. We want to see your beautiful eyes. So here it is. My eyes. But the truth is about my hair, which I have just cut, is that it's wild and free. Oh my God, like me. So it does what it wants to do. And if it falls in my eyes, you see me hassling with this hair all the time. It's part of my persona. So please love me, even if my hair falls in front of my eyes. No, I'm not covering an eye like the Illuminati. I simply have curly hair, free and wild, just like me. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. Diana. Oh, so many people are coming in. Wonderful. Justin. Welcome, Derek. Pablito. Hablo español. Green Heart. Oh, thank you for loving my hair. Please be impressed. I cut it by myself because I refuse to go to a salon and have somebody sit there with masks and plastic and long-handled hair dryers. Get serious. I can't be bothered. So I said, this can't be hard. So, I did it. Okay, who else is here? Lizette, I'm so glad you made it. Diana. Okay, thank you for loving my hair. All right, second preliminary is, I live on a hill. Actually, more than a hill. I live on a drive that goes up the mountains on my island. Why? Because as an old Atlantean that went through the flood and the tidal wave, I never, ever, ever live on sea level. I mean, if you gave me a mansion on the beach, I wouldn't take it because of that memory. So I always choose altitude. So the reason I'm telling you this is I live in this beautiful place, as most of you have noticed, and you might hear some cows, chickens, dogs. You never know, because there is farm and really natural land around me. It's really rural. So please don't be bothered, and also because I've got the windows open, because I need, what's my favorite word? Air, prana, oxygen flowing through. So that's my preliminary spiel before we get started. Who else is here? Lee Creation, I'm glad you made it. Thank you for being here. Tammy from Wisconsin. Sumitra, you were one of my major awakeners. Oh, what an honor. Believed every word of No More Secrets, No More Lies. David, same here. Thank you, sweethearts. I really am very honored. You can hear the birds. Great, because pretty soon you're going to hear dogs and chickens and cock-a-doodle-doo and whatever, and goes to the territory. Bethany, thank you. So yeah, I asked for questions, and boy, did I get them. And, there are all these different levels of questions. Some of them are very, very probing and profound. I'm going to try to do my best to get to as many as possible. But the third preliminary is I'm having, the Mercury retrograde from hell. And it's so funny because some people said to me, oh, maybe you're just manifesting it with the law of attraction. No, Mercury retro always affects my electronics. And yeah, you could say that because I state that happens, but that's not it. We've got 6 planetary bodies in retro right now, but Mercury is the one that affects electric, electronic, electromagnetic, everything. It is uncanny. So sometimes I don't even know it's Mercury retro, and everything starts to go kaflooey, and I look it up, and sure enough, it's Mercury retro. So this Mercury retro, see what I mean about the hair? I got not one, but 2 computers went dead. Now, these are Macs, which, not to try to promote anybody's equipment, but they tend to be a little sturdier than the PCs, especially with regard to viruses and whatever. But they both breathed my lips, went out within 24 hours of each other. The dishwasher, 2 computers, gone. They are unsalvageable. Gone. Hello, 1 day working, gone. The calculator, dead on arrival. What else? Oh, phone is acting weird, and the modem, which is why I'm telling you this story. So if something happens, even though I created the protective shield, which is going to be the first subject I talk about, I will probably, if I don't get to finish this, I will continue the Q&A in video format and then post it tomorrow so that you can I'm just preparing. I'm asking the universe to give us a break and let us do this, but in the case that doesn't happen, that's my backup plan. Okay, more people in. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for being here. Heather, yeah, live. Can you stand it? Nicola, thanks a lot. Enlightened Tribe. Oh, it's you, Nicole. I've got your question here. All right, here we go. And more people are coming in, but I'm not going to keep you all waiting. So again, I really want to thank you all. I've taken on this YouTube endeavor because I really don't know how much longer I can bear the farce book and all the controls. And there are controls here too, of course, but I like this venue. So I really would appreciate it if you love what I'm doing and you want to keep track of what I'm doing. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I will never charge a subscription ever. So it's free for you. And if you decide you don't resonate, you can always unsubscribe. But it helps the algorithms, and it helps because I've got a couple of trolls that would like me to stop talking. And that is not going to happen. So your help by pushing the like button. I don't know all this stuff. I'm not a high-tech girl. But the like button and the subscriptions all help to keep me going. And there's a little doohickey at the bottom of the, do people even say doohickey anymore? Am I aging myself or what? On the bottom of the chat profile, there's a little sign with a little dollar sign, and that's called a super chat. And if you feel like making a donation now or in the future, you can push on that super chat, and even $1 or whatever you want to donate really helps keep me going. And when people do super chat, I will always interrupt what I'm doing to answer their specific question. So that's just a little incentive, and there you go. Right. So the first questions. Oh, thank you, Sumitra. I'm so pleased to know that. I'm not the only one saying it. Doohickey. I've got some expressions I'm sure you've noticed, like oopsie doodle and all the rest. And that's what I call Cori lingo, and nobody's going to take it away from me. What else? Let's see, who else? Mary. Hello from sunny. Oh, I'm in Portugal, but I'm on the island, the Azores Island. Is it 100 degrees in the mainland? 105? I'm so glad I'm not there, Mary. Come and visit me in the Azores. Beautiful 75 degrees. What a paradise on earth. And we're going to be talking about creating paradise on earth. Bethany, kerfuffle, love that one. Keep the expressions coming, because if you want to enrich the Cori lingo, I'd be very grateful. Am I a U.S. Midwestern girl? No, I was I was raised in California, in San Jose, and I lived also in San Francisco, and I left when Philip's in the house. Had to interrupt myself. Hey, oh, you guys, it's so wonderful. I left San Francisco when I was 33, because I, first of all, saw what was coming in the United States and said, this is not the place to be. And I also wanted, while I was still young enough to enjoy it, I wanted to go to Italy, because I'm an Italian. My parents were both Italian. Well, my mom was born in America and my dad was an immigrant, but she was first generation Italian. So I decided, also a lover of languages, I had a French major degree and an Italian minor, and I decided that before I died, I want to go to Italy and see what it was like to get in touch with my roots. P.S. Spent another 30 years in Italy. So I spent half of my life in the United States and half of my life in Italy. So I'm kind of like fritto misto, which means mixed bag in Italy. Okay. Have you been to the Stone Circle? Of course, I just went there, Mary. We'll have to talk at another time about that. Almendrez. If for those of you who don't know or that didn't follow my story when I went there, there are some extraordinary stone circles here in Portugal, and I'm going to try to arrange a sacred journey to bring people to those too. CR, thank you for being here. Nicola, you're on the last page of Syrian Revelations. Thank you. Keep recommending it. We need people to read that so that we have some faith. Because one of the questions is, are we on the right path? Are we on the path? And it's like, what's the path? There are no perfect formulas here, but the council, the Syrian High Council, have over and over told us that inevitably light wins this battle. So I think you need to hear from me, from the mama bears I'm affectionately called, because too many people are buying into this. We're hopeless now. The world is never going to be the same. Well, isn't that a great thing? Let's talk about that. I mean, one of the questions was, the world looks like it's never going to be the same. What did the Syrian High Council say? Well, first of all, we don't want the world to be the same. We want it to change. We want it to evolve. We just don't want it to be painful. But guess what? Revolution never is. We want evolution without revolution. Who doesn't? But the truth is, we have to go through these painful steps. And it hurts. And the council said it's going to hurt. As you go through the desert days, those of you who have read my books, and by the way, in your comments, please talk about that. Interruption. Carmelo says, when can we expect the next Syrian Revelations? I'm dancing as fast as I can, Carmelo. I've written 14 books. I've written 7 screenplays, and I've got 2 of those screenplays are in development. So I'm working on it. But right now I do not have, I have a hint that the council have a new series of to give me, and I'm not even sure if my publisher is ready for that, but we will keep you posted, because I'm always working, and I will do this till I die. And thank you for wanting another book. Monica, what kind of meditation we should do today? Yeah. Do you know that today is the anniversary of the Roswell crash? 1947, July 7th. I thought that was a very particular day to come to you live. Okay, so instead of just talking, I'm going to answer all your comments, because that's what this is about. Birth is painful, CR says. You bet your ass it is. It hurts. It hurts to have to go through this, to shed off this darkness, to repeal these controllers. It is an incredible task, but there can be no doubt. Does anybody in this group really doubt that we are in the Great Awakening? I mean, look around. I look back, I'm no spring chicken, as I have mentioned before. There's another expression for you. And I look back to the days when I was desperate to read anything about psychic anything. And the first book that I could find was called Psychic, I think it was called Psychic Revelations Behind the Iron Curtain. And it was rudimentary information about how they were testing psychics to see if they, testing in laboratories to see how they communicated information. And here we are today. We're all over. I mean, what subjects are we not able to talk about? Multi-galactic, multi-dimensional, you name it. We got it, baby. And that is because we are awakening. So, when you look around you, thank you, Luciana says, zero doubt. No doubt here. Want to hear that? Do I sound like a cheerleader? Rah, rah, rah. No doubts at all from Karen. Yes, you remember the psychic discoveries. That's what it was. Psychic discoveries behind the the Iron Curtain. Boy, we've come a long way, baby. Hi, Sarah. Oh, hi, Sarah from the UK. This is Ella. I have read all the Syrian materials. I know we're in great for tests. Yeah, we are. We're here. And, just getting a big I love you. Emsley Von Det. What a name. Emsley Von Det. I'm going to have to use that in a novel. Patricia, I love you so much. Your books have confirmed my crystal dreams and visions. I have been having memories, downloads, etc. since a child. I would cry at the Star series. Oh, and thank you for calling it a star, because one of the questions that I keep getting is, what do the Syrians look like? And hold on, I'm going to open the window a little bit further. Okay, what do the Syrians look like? Are they, one person wrote, forgive me if I don't mention your name, you know who you are. Are they tall, lean beings? So let's start with answering this. Great confusion that is perpetrated by a lot of psychics and a lot of channels, and use your discretion, because use your discretion with me and with everyone that tells you what the way things are, and run it by your heart and your sensors and your discernment machinery to see if it really rings true. So for me, I think you all know my connection to the Syrian High Council, and that these are disincarnate beings on the sixth dimension. They have no form. They are light beings, huge orbs of light. And by saying that, I want to also mention that maybe they'll even manifest for us during this transmission. They've been quite active lately. But their sixth dimension, there went the light. You can't make it up, right? Okay. Oh, and speaking of which, I did recently an interview with Carrie Cassidy, and I don't know if any of you caught that, but the light was just bizarre. If you saw it, let me know. At one point, the room was dark, and there was this huge light around me, and it had gold around the edges. A lot of people were excited about that, and so was I. So where was I? Okay. So the question is, what do the Syrians look like? And, it's such a vast question because a lot of people, even people that claim that they're channeling, seem to not be discerning that Sirius is a star, and it's one of 3 stars in the Syrian cluster that the Syrians call the triad. It is a multi-dimensional star system with 1 star in the 3rd dimension, Sirius A, with 1 star in the 6th dimension, Sirius B, and with 1 in the 4th dimension, which is giving us quite a problem, which is Sirius C. All right. So when the question comes, what do they look like? Well, what planet were they from? That would be like asking somebody, what do beings from the sun look like? Do you make this discernment? I mean, and people are describing beings that are blue and, elongated skulls. Great, but what planet are they from? Because my understanding of the Syrian star system is there are several planets. Some of the beings come from hot, fiery planets that are quite, and these are the Lion people. Mary Hope wrote a great book called The Lion People, very, very short, very informative. And I resonate with that. And I also relate that to Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. Others are very watery, dolphin-like beings that approached the Dogon tribes. And you may have heard of that wonderful information, how the Nomo, okay, so supposedly the Dogon told astrologers that a craft landed, threw out a lake. These creatures swam through the water from the craft and then walked out of the water to them and went on to explain to them that they were the Nomo and explained to them that there were 3 stars, not 1 in the Sirius system. So yeah, it was pretty accurate information. So when people ask me that, what do they look like? The beings that I communicate with are spheres of light. They've lost body and form. And sometimes, like Seth, if you read the wonderful Seth material back in the day with Jane Roberts, who was one of the great channels who ever walked. This being, Seth, said, before you're so anxious to leave the 3rd dimension, I got to tell you what I would do for a juicy steak, which of course not something I love to hear, and a beautiful burgundy, and to make love with a beautiful woman again, to feel the sensate world again. And I thought I remember reading it thinking, well, that's pretty profound. I better be sure that I have a phenomenal ride through this 3D, because I'm quite convinced this is my last incarnation on the 3-dimensional plane, at least planet Earth. So, take those words. Think about those words. When so many starseed are saying, I just can't wait to get off this planet. I just can't wait to ascend. I'm done with the physical realm. It's a beautiful world, baby. And if you can't create heaven on earth, you aren't going to be able to create it anywhere else. You're fooling yourself. It's an illusion. Okay? All right. Interruption for comments. Marcella, do the Syrians ever mention the law of 1, or do they make correlations between dimensions and densities? They don't mention the law of 1 because they are their own information bearers. So the law of 1 comes through somebody else. And yes, all the books are about dimensions and densities. All the 14, the Syrian Revelations trilogy, the last book, you've got a plethora of options to choose from by going to my Amazon page where I've got, a ton of books. But no, they don't mention other channel information. And you know what else? I don't read other channeled information. In the day, I read Seth because it was way, way back before I started channeling. But I don't read it, not for lack of respect for anyone else, but because I do not want to taint my channel. I do not want to impose on that clear, for so many years, that clear channel, and then have a question of the source. So I don't read other channel material. Just can't wait for the glorious finish. What a ride. Yeah, I hear you. If there is a finish, I mean, is there ever a finish to energy? But yeah, I think that we are in the thick of something extraordinary. We came here to do this. We came here to do this. And so, when you're getting disheartened, which quite honestly, a lot of my questions were quite disheartening, and people who are disheartened. And so, it's my kind of job, I guess, to help people get back the juice, get back on track, get back the joy and excitement and wonder of this passage, this one passage out of the thousands that you will make as a soul climbing higher. And that no matter how difficult it is, that's all it is, passage. So keep that in mind. CR says so many books. Sorry, we're going to have the dog chorus now. So many books. Yeah, so many books. I started in 1997. I channeled the Cosmos of Soul. And that now when you read the books, it says published in 2007. But that's not an indication of when they really first came out, because my publisher, North Atlantic Books, republished them in 2007. So they were originally 2008, 2009, 2010 is when the trilogy first came out. And that's 23 years ago, people. It was pretty groundbreaking then, and it still is. It's really remarkable. I'm so thrilled to serve in this way. Okay. Enlightened Tribe, gamma rays and DNA shuffle. I don't understand your question. Please elaborate. Space Latte. These names are great. Space Latte. All these bad guys look like cartoon evil characters. They do. They have, well, first of all, they look possessed because they are. And they look like caricatures because they are. CR Bowles, love your necklace. This is the Syrian seal, but it's a silver one, which unfortunately are no longer available. And the copper ones are going fast, but I'm never without the Syrian seal. And maybe in this time of this transmission, I'll be able to tell you more about it. I put out some information about the qualities of copper, the healing benefits of copper. And oh my God, I just got this rush of orders for the copper seal. So if you're listening, please be patient. I'm just getting them done now. And tomorrow's a post office run. Okay, Enlightened Tribe is going to elaborate. Oh my gosh, I have to put on my glasses. Yes, we are so privileged. Maybe it's grief we're feeling. I think we're feeling fear. We're programmed to feel fear and anxiety over that fear. And, if you haven't seen it, you've got to see my two videos called The Red Pill Report 1 and 2, talking about adrenaline cranking into the ethos, your auric field, and how these vampires suck that out. It's not just adrenochrome they're after, the actual physical blood. They're after the etheric adrenaline. And in order to feed themselves that vibratory signature, they need us to be on our knees in fear all the time, in adrenal overload, because they are able to suck it out of the ethos. So what better way, if you want to be a light worker, if you want to disrupt those forces, to keep yourself out of adrenal fight and flight mechanism, energy, fight or flight, excuse me. And all the more reason to keep that delicious balance of joy and happiness, even though there's a lot going down, right? Okay, if you're asking me questions about why were you born, like why was I born in Argentina, who am I as a channel, I'm not going to be able to answer those here. You can always do a session with me and I can see if I can identify some of those things. But for the sake of the conversation, I can't answer your personal questions about those kinds of things. Who's that? Rob Armstrong. Hey, Rob. Thanks for being here. So, okay, Tina. Today, the subject I knew we'd have to get to. My job is telling me masks are required. This is a recurring question that I received when I asked you to write in your questions. Now, you need to know. See, this is why people tell me about the hair. I do realize this. I have to be very careful about talking about that because they take down your channel and ban you forever if you discuss it. Gee, I wonder why. So that conversation we will refer to as the health pandemic. No, health situation. Okay. And I have to be careful how I word things. Even though I'm an absolute free spirit, I don't want them to come and take away my YouTube channel. So thank you, Rob. It's good to be here, and it's good that you're here. Here's what I have to say. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has on their website the mode of transmission. I'm reading it. The mode of transmission for the health issue is human to human human to human transmission via respiratory droplets. Now, that means somebody has to breathe on you or sneeze on you or cough on you to transmit it. And yet, I've got people driving down. I mean, I can't tell you how frustrating it is to see people alone in their cars with masks on, the windows rolled up, with plastic visors over their faces, in this heaven on earth where we've been told we have the second best air in the world, air quality in the world, driving around sealed up in this way, breathing their own caca, and aggravating the potential for bacterial count, for carbon dioxide. So now we're hearing that a lot of people are getting mold in their lungs from wearing these things. So, the big dilemma is, and I want to just add to this conversation an important question somebody asked me. Let me read it. Luciana said, from observing the unfolding regarding masks, and another thing that I can't mention that starts with V, I notice the more people attempt to convey their choices, whether it's based in truth or pandemic conditioning, I see the divide and conquer game playing out. I even saw it through me today when I began feeling anxious, angry, or nervous about and doing my best to talk and clarify the misconceptions around masks to a worker in my clinic. And, her question goes on, but the point is here, you've got an important decision to make. And it isn't a light one, but it might save your life. So if you're being faced with the question of whether or not you have to wear a mask to work, I'd just like to point out that you really are going to get sick. I mean, I'm seeing people getting pretty sick here. They look gray. You are not supposed to be in a mask for 8 hours a day. You're not supposed to be in a mask ever, but of course there would be exceptions to that. But it's not only you're not getting the oxygen, you're not getting the prana. So you've got I'm reading things that say that, yeah, the oxygen's fine. Give me a break. I can't believe some of the stuff they tell us. No reduction of oxygen with a mask on. Are you kidding me? I can't have it on for 2 seconds. I get crazy. So there's the question of not enough oxygen. There's the question of breathing carbon dioxide, the potential for lung mold. That's the new one. And how many people are really using immaculate masks each time? How many times do you change the little puppy? Have you seen the picture of the masks coming out of India and China and the sweatshops with these masks on the floor, these grimy places? Give me a break. So, there's an existential issue here I'm reading the comments because I think they reflect what we're talking about. There's an existential question here, and that is, what's more important to you? As far as convincing anybody, all you can do is, because we need to help people understand. We can't just, no man is an island, as they say, and we can't just worry about ourselves if we're going to change this thing. But when you're confronted with a hysterical person, I mean, when people tell me, you hate me, what was the comment? If you're not willing to wear a mask, it means you want me to die. How do you discuss with a person like that? There's no discussion. So as far as what to do about that, as far as I personally would not work in an environment where I was forced to wear a mask. And it's not because I'm worried about the virus. I'm worried about the mask. But this is such a personal issue. It's your choice to make. And, it isn't like it is in the United States everywhere else. Here, for example, people have only I find that people have only a time, almost like a curve to how long they're willing to be afraid. That's why they keep cranking up the juice with new things to be afraid of, because we lose interest. So here on the island, people are bored already. People are starting to see through this. So you see people walking around with the mask under their chin. And today I was in the store. 2 weeks ago, they were wearing the plastic visor, the mask, plastic gloves. These people are getting sick in these stores. You see them, they're sweating, they're miserable, they're angry. And today, the guy had the mask down to here, no visor, no gloves. So the bigger question is, how long does the power that be, the cabal, plan to keep us this way? This is the question. I'm going to take a break to read your comments. All right, Lizette says, in my work as a social worker, I met a lot of children and their parents who are not afraid and don't believe the rules. Thank God. Boy, there are so many of you that the comments are just flying. I have had in shops, ignore mask goods. Not many seeing through it in the US. Really? Karen says, do you guys concur? Nat says, people are rallying, getting numbers of like-minded people to voice our non-consent to this mass medical psyop experiment. Nuremberg Code. Yep, that's what it is. And when you see these groups of people with these masks on, how can you not see the symbolism of what it represents, the obedience, slavery? Yeah, here we are talking about Black Lives Matter and how slavery has affected the world, our lives, their lives. And, we're back to slavery, obedience, silence. Oh, masks are also to humiliate us. They sure are. I mean, don't you think that the guys that invented this thing are having a great laugh? Think about it. Think about a party of the elite looking at human beings mindlessly walking around with these masks on, not breathing. It's very hard for me not to get aggravated. But calm. I'm wanting to start energy healing practice. Will absolutely not wear a mask for that. I know I need to find innovative ways to deal with this. Yes, you do. The question is, how long are they going to continue to do this? And we hear all these, horrific projections. And I also want to remind everybody that this is gigantic business. This is huge business. This is the new business. So when you hear about people like Gavin, the governor of California, putting in orders in China for $2.5 billion for masks, which is, so contradictory. I don't know where to start. Like, how come you're ordering masks from China, for starters? And then how come you're paying taxpayers money to buy products from China? And finally, how much of that is going into your pocket? And one of the reasons why, and there are so many, it's complex, one of the reasons why these governors are taking it upon themselves to impose, while Trump is trying to get people out of the masks, is multifaceted. First of all, of course, they're trying to defy him in any way they can. And secondly, there's graft. People are making big bucks, baby. Big bucks. Don't ever forget it. All right, let's move on to another subject here. Let's see, I got Luciana's question. Ricardo asks me, so you talk a lot about shields. How do we create a shield? That's a really important question. I really do talk about this a lot, but I never get tired of talking about it, because the truth is, hold on. Oh, your question was that about sex got held for review. So I'm just going to hide it so that it's out of the way. What was I talking about? Lost my track. Okay, shield. I'm going to tell you a little story. So the first time I did a crystal healing back in the day, it's such a long story. Do I need to tell the whole thing? All right. I was working with crystals and it was my first customer client that came to me for a session. And she laid down the table. She was goth. She had spikes everywhere and very dark and very troubled. And I was pretty green at healing. I mean, I had done practice on friends, but I'd never actually had a client. Excuse me. Start to work on her. My method of healing was, why am I getting a throat chakra issue? Am I not supposed to tell this story? One more time. Okay. So I'm working on her, and as a healer, hands-on healer, I worked with crystals. I worked with and this psychic faculty that I've had all my life, so that I would be able to create an ambient field where the person could go into a very deep altered state, and then the body would start to talk to me, and all kinds of things happen. And in the middle of the session, I could feel this terrible resistance in her power center. She started to groan, and it was clear she was in a lot of agony. And I said to her, do you want me to stop? No, don't stop. So at one point, working to release the energy, something pops out. I feel like I'm not supposed to be telling you the story, but I'm on the road now, so we're going to complete this. Something pops out, and I see this squiggle. It was like a little worm, a little psychic worm, and it went, and it had a really high, shrill sound. And it pops out of the room, into the ceiling above the room. And I sat there and watched it go, shocked. And this woman had an immediate release. It was like, oh my God. Oh God, that feels oh God, she started to cry. And I'm looking at my crystal, which was a very expensive Vogel cut crystal, cut by psychics, and really, really an investment. And the top was popped off. It was gone. And in that moment, I realized, oh my God, I did not create sacred space, and I have released whatever that was into the room above. What a terrible thing! What an irresponsible thing! Where did it go? So from that moment, which was my first real session, I have always created sacred space around me, around anyone I deal with, around any conversation that I have of the spiritual genre. In psychic sessions, in readings that I do, I always create sacred space to protect the field. And I did that for those of you who came in a bit later. I did that at the start of this conversation. I call upon the angel warriors of light. So here it goes. Wait, Luciana, why are your comments are being flagged? I don't know why. All right, so here it is for Ricardo. Your question is, how do we create a sacred shield? Keep it simple. All right. Every morning and every night, when I get up in the morning, I just take 2 seconds to do this because I have a lot coming at me. We all do. But as a healer and a teacher, what all this spiritual work that I do, I want to make sure there is nothing able to enter my sphere and that I am free to radiate out my light, right? And one of the reasons why I'm always laughing and smiling is because this stuff just can't touch me. It just is, it can't get in. So my mantra is, I call upon the angel warriors of light, asking to be encircled in an impenetrable blanket of golden white light. Let it hold as a barrier against any energies that are not of the highest intention. And I ask that they be bounced back to their source and dealt with as is appropriate to their karmic pace. Into this sphere is invited and welcome the brightest light, the greatest love, the highest intention. That's going to do it for you. And then I personally don't like to give power to talismans or symbols or anything, because I know that I am the crystal. I am the talisman. I am the protection. However, the Syrian seal was given to me by the council, and, tens of thousands of people have been wearing it all around the world. And it just feels like something I want to always have in my aura to amplify out that wah, 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 vibratory frequency. So, if you want to know more about the Syrian seal, you go to my Syrian Revelations.net site. There's a free book there, also channeled, 78 pages. Yes, I will repeat it for you. Who asked me that? Erin, I'll repeat it. And there you will find this free book download, which is explains to you everything that the Syrian seal does. It's everything that it was created to do. And I still have some left if you're interested. Okay. Erin asked me to repeat it. Here we go. Join me with this. Let's just do it together, okay? And get used to how it feels. See if you can feel the shift. Here we go. I call upon the angel warriors of light, asking to be encircled in an impenetrable blanket of golden white light. Let it hold as a barrier against any energies that are not of the highest intention. I ask that they be bounced back to their source and dealt with as is appropriate to their karmic pace. And into this sphere of light, I invite the greatest love, the brightest light, and the highest intention. Aho. That's 3 times I've done that. I'm a little spaced out now. I just have to take a moment to feel that. Phew. Okay, I hope you get that. And just remember to do that. You're welcome, Tina. Just remember to do it in the morning. And when you go to bed, remember, I lay me down to sleep. What happened to praying before we went to bed? So, because of what we're doing on the astral, and because so many openings have been poked through the astral sheath by so many not so highly intended beings, make sure that before you go to bed, you reiterate this protection. Thank you. What a beautiful thing to say, Luciana. Rob, thank you, Patricia. I used my eyes and felt it. Wonderful. The important thing is to feel it. I'm a little spaced out. Can you tell? Tell me if you can tell. All right. When will we get? Here's a question. Oh, you're welcome, dear Christina. I'm glad you're here too. God, you guys, there's so many of you here. 133 people in the chat. Yay! That's wonderful. Thank you, Dia. Yeah, I'm glowing. Good. I do have a wonderful lease on life. You know, I'm just so blessed. So blessed. There goes the light again. Yes, it is very powerful. And I do it all the time. And when you meditate, thank you, Heidi. You guys, thank you for sending me all this love. I can take it. When you meditate, when you, and you know, even when you, let's say when you go out and you have to approach the problems that we're faced with, like the masks, like, you know, the hostility, whatever, try doing this. I call upon the angel warriors of light under your breath, or just run it through your head. Oh, I'm going to cry now. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Bethany. You guys are the best, I tell you. I'm so honored to be able to come to you this way and to share with you. What a family, you know? What a family. Okay, I'm all emotional now. I'm going to have to gather my wits, as they say. I'm glad, Netzi. Okay, you know what I'll do is after I finish this, I will post. There's a place on my YouTube channel where I can actually write a post, and I'll write it out for you. And also, do I have this here? Oh, there are very few left of my CD. I'm sorry to sell, but you know, there's tools that you can use. My publisher, I don't think they're publishing it anymore, but there are still copies available, and it has the third strand DNA activation on it. By the way, I mean, I was doing DNA activations 23 years ago before anybody else was. So it's very powerful. And it also has some incantations for protection. And I recommend that you get it while you still can, because I think they've only got 50 copies left or something. So there's that. And then you can hear my voice when you're lying in bed. Well, it's not actually my voice. It's actually the Syrian High Council. So guiding you in that process. Where do we get it? That's a good question. I think it's available still on Amazon, but because recently my publisher told me they weren't going to publish it, reproduce it anymore, because again, it's been around for a long, long time. But I'm pretty sure it's available still on Amazon, and it's also. Let me know if you don't find it on Amazon, and in the meantime, I'll talk to my publisher and see where they've got those 50 copies. Where can we get the talisman? It's not a talisman. It's the Syrian star seal. It's the Syrian seal. Let me show you what it looks like in copper, because you don't want to be expecting my silver one. Okay, so here's the copper. And this is actually much more powerful tool than the silver, because copper, this is 99.6% copper. It is highly conductive. Copper kills bacteria. Read my information up on Facebook. If you're my friend on Facebook, or even on my author page on Facebook, I've put up some information about the impact of copper on the body, and killing bacteria. And so this is the seal, and it's just amazing. And it has so many aspects to it. It has tachyon energy, and it was given to me. Do you want to know? Do you want to know how this was designed? Because you won't believe the story. And since we're live and casual, now would be a great chance to tell that. So before I continue, let me know if you want to hear the story of how I got the Syrian seal from the council. In the meantime, I'll read comments. After reading your 3 books, I was convinced that December 20 first, 2012, we would ascend and be in a great shift. But what happened? And what do the Syrians have to say about it? You don't think we're in a great shift? You don't think we're ascending? We're in the fourth dimension. Oh, everybody wants to hear the story. So I lost the name of the person that asked me that question, but let me just tell you, 2012 was like clang, and the shift was immense. And what's happening now is that people still have not, a lot of people don't realize, because the fourth dimension is very, in some ways, is very imperceptible. And because 3D still looks like 3D. And we have an illusion of what dementia, I was going to say dementia, which is another illusion, what dimensions look like or what they should be like. I'm going to tell the story. Let me just finish this point. And so we don't recognize, I do, and a lot of people do, that actually we aren't really in the 3D anymore. We're moving. When I channeled the last book, the new Syrian Revelations, which came through in 2017, can't believe all this time has passed since then. And the council said the fourth dimension is fluttering over the edges of the third, and you're going to be aware of it more and more. And, this has all been a progression since 2012. I definitely believe that was a gigantic shift. And that's when I started realizing the world was definitely not the same anymore. So yeah, in future talks, I'm going to talk more about 4D. We are in it, baby. And this is the clearing station before we progress on. So we couldn't possibly go from the density of 3D and all this disruption and all this lower vibrational patterning to a lofty 5, 6, 7 dimensional framework, because we weren't, as a civilization, anywhere near getting to that resonancy. So we're in 4D now, working it out, facing karma, dealing with every aspect of karma as an entirety of civilization from the birth of Homo sapiens till now. We got a little work to do. But was there a great shift? Oh my God, man, absolutely. It was the opening of the great door to what we're doing in this passage of ascension. And, first we have to transcend before we can ascend. Dig? All right, so here's the story. I don't know if I've ever told this story, so here it goes. After No More Secrets, my third book with the council, there was a lull. And I was so used to being awakened at 4 a.m. 3 books, 3 years. Tick, tick, wake up call, 4 a.m, channeling. So that when it stopped, I just kind of didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, I did have a life, I did have to work, but I was so used to it. I was in almost mourning. It was like postpartum blues that I wasn't hearing the council. And I thought, oh my God, please don't let it be over. Because unlike some channels, I can't just sit in the park and instantly call the council. When I channel, it's a real effort of love. I get awakened. I get into this space, this vibratory space. I wait for them. They wait for me. We reach frequency. It's something very particular. Anyway, a couple of weeks went by, nothing. And one night in the dead of winter, I went in, and I'll tell you why I knew I was in a trance later. I went in trance to the front door of my house in Rome and stepped outside, completely in trance. I had no awareness of it. So I was outside. And I just remember I don't remember getting outside. I remember being outside and looking up and seeing the Syrian seal formation. So like this, rotating, this huge triangle rotating over the house in lights. And it kind of, I can't even describe what state of consciousness I was in. I was between dimensions or something. and it was rotating, and I thought, oh my God, it's a ship. That's it. They've come for me. And I was mesmerized. Just to remember it is incredible. And so it was rotating, and then the spirals, which are the 3 spirals in the middle, were coming in, up and down. So that was vertical, and the triangle, the tetrahedron, was spinning horizontally, so that these 3 spirals were twisting together like a rope, okay? Light, and then up and down. It was just a show. And then in the middle of all of this, my ex opens the door and says, "What are you doing?" He had a little tendency to be intolerant of my psychic world. And it broke me out of it. And I found myself in, this flimsy nightgown, really, really cold winter. And what are you doing? Because it scared him. He just never really understood what I was about, I guess, when it came to spirit. And I went back inside, very confused. First I thought it was a craft, and then I realized it was obviously not. It was not physical. So day 2, it happened again. 4 o'clock in the morning, I go outside. There it is again, spinning around. This happened for 4 nights. And the thing is that the second, third, and fourth nights, I was fully conscious of it. So I'm sitting out there looking, going, okay, what am I supposed to get here? What am I supposed to understand? I need information, please. And the council said, pay attention, which they say to me all the time. Pay attention. We'll tell you what needs to be done. I go, okay, I'm paying attention, but I can't keep coming out here. So the 5th day, they channeled the book, the Syrian Seal book, which, as I said, is free on my Syrian Revelations site, which explained what it was, why it was being channeled, and that I should go. I don't think the book says it, but they told me that I should go out and get these made. They gave me the dimensions of how big they were supposed to be. And I said, you want me to make a talisman? I don't want to do that. It's not a talisman. People will recognize it. People will understand it. They need it. Make it. And I thought, where am I going to get somebody to make a bunch of, okay, I'll try. And the next day I worked at the time for Thailand Tourism Authority. I go into the office, and my client, the boss, came in and she said, we have this lady here from Thailand. They make gadgets for trade shows and things like that. If we ever need anything, let me know. And I went, can you make things out of copper? She said, yeah. I said, something like this. And I drew the symbol. Yeah. I go, could you make it in full moon? She said, why? I said, it's about vibration. She said, yep, can do that. And that's how effortless it was for the Syrian seals to be made. Isn't that an amazing story? It's just like 7 days, just like Jesus, just like God rested on the 7th day. So somebody said, where can I get the seal? And it's SyrianRevelations.net. SyrianRevelations.net. I will put that also down here. But when you go to the website, SyrianRevelations.net, on the left-hand margin, it says Syrian seal, and you can buy the seal there. And there's also a link for the Syrian book. I made it free download for everyone so that you can relate to it. Yeah, isn't it ultimate indigo river? Isn't it incredible synchronicity? I mean, wow. And what really thrills me about the seal is that so many people have been drawn to it. As Deborah Clark just said, I've been drawn to it. And it's because, it probably got something to do with your stellar background and your starseed heritage. Maybe it's even more than that. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't care, actually. I'm in service. I got it made. And, lots of people are working with it. And healers report vastly increased energy fields And the one thing I really love is that after I do my protection, my shield, and I've got my shield on top of that. By the way, I usually wear 2 or 3 of them just for kicks. I can feel that it's like, it's almost like being Superwoman. This triangle just kind of extends out etherically into my aura. And it's just like, there's nobody getting in here. No lower energies getting in here. Oh, Colleen, thank you. They're going fast, guys. I'm really running out of them. I'm not trying to schmooze you, but if you want them, now's a great time to order them. And I have to get more made. But the problem is I have to find the people that can make it, find the people that are spiritually attuned to it. And then every single seal has been with me in the Great Pyramid in ceremony for activation. So I've got to do all of that before I put them out. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad you're ordering it. You're going to love it. And that takes me to my next question. Are there any more questions about the seal? Last time I saw you, I could not take my eyes off of it. Got to get one. Hope you send to UK. Yes, I send them all over the world. As long as you're patient, because the shipping these days is horrible. Okay, who's somebody saying, what was the CD? I can't find it. The CD is called The Starseed Awakening. So what I'm going to do is I will, here it is. This might even be the old cover. I think they produced a new cover. But I will check with my publisher, and then I will put on my YouTube page, there's a place where I can put posts, and I will tell you where you can get it. It's a really good tool to have. Okay, so I have another amazing story for you. Where do the seals ship from? They ship from the Azores Island, Portugal. Could not find the CD. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it's out. But I think my publisher has about 50 left. So it'll be first come, first serve. And as I said, I will publish that information on the YouTube channel as soon as I get it. Oh, you got one on Amazon. Goldie just got one on Amazon. Good. What was that? CD is on Amazon. Yay, that's great. All right. Speaking of exes, somebody says, speaking of exes, why aren't men open to this stuff? Oh, they are. They're opening. It's just, men have... I have a lot of men followers, which is wonderful. And the truth is, men have got to work through a little bit more crap than women do, because at least earlier generations of men, I don't know about this one, but earlier generations had to deal with all that training of what it is to be a man and be macho and be left-brained and opening up to the heart and things that they're not necessarily trained to do. And they've got to work through that, but they are. All right. Okay. I'm going to write down the website. Get it right? And in answer to that question about the men, I think that a lot of times it was the case with me. My man, he didn't want constant psychic, galactic, multidimensional dialogue. He wanted pasta and lovemaking and wine and, his baby girl. And I think that a lot of you have experienced what this is like, because, when you grow spiritually, you just grow out of that. And the man who isn't growing spiritually is like, what happened? Why are you changing? I don't like this new you. So it's a real problem for people that are in partnerships when one of you is growing and one is not. One is growing spiritually, because it's usually intimidating to the other. Your late Deborah Clark says, my late husband accused me of devil worship. Oh dear. Wow. Well, I'm sorry he died of cancer, but that's heavy. I don't even have a comment for that. So I was going to tell you another story. What was it going to be about? I lost my track. What were we talking about? Okay, it'll come back to me. Another one of those senior moments. All right, so now we're going to relationships as a topic. Candace says, my hubby thinks I have totally lost the plot. I am delightfully, joyfully, ecstatically single. I was involved with this Italian for 30 years. And before him, I've always had a man in my life. And now I don't. And I got to tell you, I think this is why I've got this cringe. Because I'm really loving. It's been wonderful to have love in my life and be involved in a loving relationship. And I had some wonderful years. But the freedom of being on my own, it's just extraordinary. So never having to explain anymore. You know, there's this kind of buzz, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? I mean, Franco would interrupt me in the middle while I was channeling and say, what's for dinner? Are you going to make some coffee? Knowing I was channeling. Or even if I wasn't channeling, even if I was just writing. I mean, how dare you interrupt my work? I'm glad you agree, Space Lunch. Oh, we've got some happy singles in the group. Yay! It's wonderful. I don't think I would ever want to be in a relationship again. I think that part of the journey is over. So, okay. Anyway, so that why people like he did that is because they were scared. They could feel you moving away, feel you being more involved with something else, and therefore trying to stop on it. It's too heavy. My hubby does that, and he doesn't even, and he's even on the path. Well, there's a little ego there. You know, my boyfriend is listening, but not typing. Like I said, I've got a lot of men who are followers, and I love them, and I love men. I do. And, you know, I'm grateful for that energy. But it's not always the men that are the blocks. A lot of time they're spiritual men with blocked women. But women were kind of predisposed more. We're more emotional, we're more heart-centered, and we're usually more psychic. And that is a gross statement because there are plenty of those men now that have those developed centers, energy centers. Wow, how wonderful, Rob, to have a partner like that. You're very lucky. All right, so let's get off the men question. Bless the men, keep on growing, and thank you for doing what you do. And I don't mean that in a funny way. Thank you for being strong and holding up so much. It's not easy to be a man on planet Earth. Even though that a lot of people would contradict that, saying they have all the power. I don't think so. I think men have got a rough time right now. Men are programmed to be less evolved. Well, they've got more baggage. At least the earlier generations, my generation, right now, I don't know. I mean, with all this gender fluidity and the feminization of men, which has a lot to do with estrogen in the water, fashion, and all these influences that are changing sexuality on the planet. I don't know what to say about that. Colleen says the Starseed Awakening is the CD. Yeah, one more time. I think the cover has changed, but here it is. Oh, this was what I was going to tell you the story about. Another great story. this is really great, having this chance to talk to you this way, because I don't, it's like being in the room with you. Here's the story about the CD. So I got to pull it out again. Years ago, my mom was visiting me from the States, and we're sitting in the living room. She didn't understand my channeling either, to be honest with you. It scared her. Yeah, Carmelo says he has a different cover. Okay. They changed the cover. So I'm sitting with my mom. She was visiting, and I say to her, I'm going to make a CD. And what's really interesting is maybe 6 months earlier, for the Thai government, we had gone into a studio to do a voiceover on a Thai language, English language commercial. And we had to do a voiceover in Italian. So we'd gone into the studio. So while we were doing this work in this studio, the owner of the studio and I started chatting. And I don't even remember how it came up in conversation about spirituality. But he said, I'm very interested in these things. And I said, well, I'll have to get you a copy of my book, because Atlantis Rising had just come out in Italian. He said, or it was just coming out. And he said, I'd really appreciate that. And he said, and if you ever, Patricia, he said, if you ever need studio time, let me know. And I said, I used to be a singer. He said, let me know. I mean it. So I said to my mother, I need to do a CD. She goes, a CD of what? Because I used to be a singer. And I said, I don't know. She goes, honey, okay. I mean, are you singing again? I go, no, I'm going to do a channel CD, meditations. So she said, can I read it? I said, yeah, it's not written. 2 minutes after I start this discussion with my mother, the phone rings. And this guy says, Cara Patricia, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm Stefano from the recording studio in Rome. And I'm holding the phone. Hello. He says, I was wondering if that book ever came out. I haven't been able to find it. I said, it did. I said, it's so bizarre that you called me, because I just told my mother I'm going to do a CD. And he said, what kind of music? And I said, it's not music, it's channeled meditations. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 2 hours free studio time. And if you go over, you can pay the difference. And I said, he goes, let me know when you're ready. I go, I'm ready. He said, do you have a script? No. He goes, okay, I'm giving you 2 hours. You can do what you want with them. But you guys should know how expensive studio time is. Okay. So he's gifting me this 2 hours. I go, he said, when could you be ready? I go, tomorrow. I swear to God, this is the truth. On my mother's soul. I swear to God, this is the truth. And there's nothing more precious to me than my mother's soul. So I tell my mom, we're going to the studio tomorrow. She goes, you're wacky. You are wacky. And I got the copy of the book for him, and off we go the next day to the studio. I have no script. I have no nothing. All I have is my Tibetan bowls, a couple of Tibetan bowls. Walk into the studio, go into the room, start channeling. And that's what the CD is. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The wake-up call, a window opens, the Syrians speak, calling the light ones, an evocation. Soul retrieval meditation, DNA activation, the matrix of high consciousness. It's really powerful. And it just was like, I did the first track, and he goes into the microphone, what an experience. He goes, that was good, Patricia, let's do it again. I go, nope, no, I don't think so. We don't need to do it again. He says, well, we want to get a few tracks. I go, yeah, no, I think that'll do. He goes, okay, let's go to the next. And that's how it came down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks. And I said, I'm done. And he mixed in some of my Tibetan bowl playing. And by the time I left 2 hours later, I had, read my lips, the master track for the CD. Within the 2 hours for free. This is the universe making sure the information gets out. Is it remarkable or what? Is it remarkable? Tell me it's remarkable. Instant manifestation. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. So that's, and unfortunately over the years, because it's not fancy, it doesn't have music behind it. It wasn't overproduced. So it hasn't had a huge life, but it's a good tool. It is awesome. Thank you, Goldie, for understanding. It's, I just love it. All right, more questions. Catherine says, I would just like to know if everything is going to plan and if they have a timeline for when the tyranny will end. The tyranny will end when we stop allowing it. Only then. So that's what we're in the midst of trying to achieve here. Waking up enough people who say no. Waking up enough people who get off their knees to the power. Waking enough people get out of their rage. Waking up enough people to maybe give some consideration to the real dynamics underway on this planet, which of course is going to lead me into the question of Donald Trump. So, dare you speak about Donald Trump positively, you incur the wrath of many. And to them I say, because somebody actually, I've had people who were friends who said that I'm a nut job because I speak favorably of Trump. I'm sure you guys have too. And to them I say, bye-bye, don't let the door hit you in the ass. More stories. Oh, don't worry, I've got a collection. In fact, one of the books I really want to write is some of the most extraordinary things that have happened in my life. But the reason why I haven't done it is because I don't want to. I don't want to be in ego consciousness to talk about me. So I have got extraordinary adventures that have happened, but I'm not about me here. It's not about me. So I don't write them. But boy, what a ride. Okay, what else? When will we get... question that I want to talk about is somebody asked me about... hold on. The Ashtar command. The Ashtar command. And what I think of it. Back in the 50s, there was a character named George Van Tassel. I don't know if you know about him, but he was supposedly the first of the channels that brought through Ashtar, who was perceived to be the E.T. Christ, who was coming to affect the earth. Oh, thank you, Tina. Tina says it's not ego. If you encourage me, I'll do it. But I really... I have had some of the most extraordinary things happen to me. And if you're still here, Peter, you can attest to it. And they almost seem impossible things, ridiculously huge things. And I hold back because I just don't want to aggrandize myself. I love humility. I like to sit in humility. Wow, you guys, you're going to buy up all the seals and the CDs. That's cool. Beans. Thank you. All right. So George Van Tassel in the 50s was the original Ashtar command. Ashtar channel. And there was also an organization called Solar Cross. They were in Northern California, a very secretive group. And they were also channeling Ashtar. Then, and the energy of Ashtar was that he was going to be, a savior, an E.T., Christed E.T., who was planning on saving the earth. And he was warning humanity about the atom bomb. And he was supposedly, the channel said, coming to the earth to speak to the governments and to ward off nuclear holocaust. Then there was a person named Yvonne Cole in 1986 who took over as one of the main channels for Ashtar. And her message was that sorry, not in 1986. I don't remember when she really started talking, but she predicted that in 1986 the Earth would be destroyed and taken over by aliens. So that was wrong. So when people ask me what do I think about the Ashtar command, here's what I have to say. And, please, Ashtar people, don't, get your knickers in a twist if I say anything that doesn't resonate. It's only my experience and impression. My impression is that there's a lot of, hold on, Karma, you're okay, baby. Sorry, my girl, she has tremors when she sleeps. So there's a lot of positioning that's really smacks of human emotion and power trips. Like I am, Lady Athena of the 9th degree dimension type role assignment. Masters. We're not supposed to use that word anymore now, are we? Commanders. And this doesn't resonate with me because I don't believe that enlightened beings are concerned with being commanders or generals, these military terms that you hear from the Ashtar command. So it doesn't resonate with me personally, but then again, I don't read other channeled material, so I can't give an opinion about it. But all I will say is be aware of human ego infiltrating, overriding, overlaying information. You guys, can you believe that it's an hour and a half that I'm talking? Are you tired? Shall I quit here and do a part 2 another day? JFK Jr. No, you want to keep going? I love you. All right. So that's my feedback on Ashtar command. I don't resonate with it, but then again, I don't resonate with a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean it's not valid. Okay, I'll keep going. This is fun. I mean, I can do this a lot. Okay. John and Trump were friends. All right, let's talk about that. No, I am not tired. Are you kidding? Do I look tired? I am not tired. I'm charged and energized. And there's so many of you. I'm not teasing you. I am not tired. I'm happy to continue. Okay. So let's talk about JJ. I want to believe. I'm not a QAnon devotee because I filter so much information into my consciousness, and then this resonates, yes, no, out. And from an early on time, and I've said this in another video, so bear with me, I watched Trump, and I kept saying to myself, before I say that, I've just got to say thank you, Tina. There is so much love in this chat. It's just ridiculous. I love it. I feel it. And, what a beautiful space for us to be in. We need this, right? We need this, being together like this, even if it's only virtual. I will do more and more of it if you're there. I'm happy to do it. Thrilled to do it. Okay, so I was saying about Trump. I was studying him and saying, I want to love this guy, but and this is to you, Nicole, I'm finally getting to your question. He has a horrific policy for ecology and environment and animals. And I can't love somebody who doesn't love the earth. And I don't mean love because I don't want to be emotionally involved with with my relationship to a politician. I want to be loving their policies is what I'm saying, okay? And I don't love that. So I love the idea of draining the swamp. I don't love these insane environmental policies. So the question I kept asking myself is, why? And that's the question Nicole has asked. And I love the way that she phrased it. She said, I don't understand it. And why is he doing this? Why is he giving corporations so much free reign to destroy Gaia, to pollute and destroy Gaia? It hurts my heart. And I would like to understand this. And boy, it can't be much better than that when two people are trying to discuss something, without digging our heels into a position. And I really honor you for that, Nicole. You are far out. And my answer to this debacle, which is bothering me, is this. Trump is basically one of the most hated men on the planet. He has the media against him. He has politicians against him. He has a completely mind-controlled public against him. He has, what else? Satanists against him. He has witches against him. He has, the next talk I do, I'll probably get into the entities question. But these people are not kidding around. These people know how to do spells. They know how to call upon entities. And he's under attack 24/7. All right. He's got the Democratic Party completely against him. This man, to me, it's amazing he's still standing. So what did he do? What does he have to do? This is my opinion. We might not agree. He needed to really congeal the Republican Party and have them behind him. And to do that, he had to make some concessions to get them behind him. And the Republicans are, no, please don't send hate mail for this comment. The Republican Party is largely pro-corporate, oil, hunting, and you can't just say that it's just one party that's this way, because they're all corrupt and they're all, slaves or patsies of the oil companies. But my opinion, my understanding, and it may not be right, is that he has made concessions so that he could get a consensus behind him of really devoted Republicans who are going to have his back. And these are oil people, baby. Okay, so that's one of my thoughts. Another thing is he needed the military behind him really badly, because there's a coup underway and he needs the military behind him. So that's more of the same. Hold on a minute. Somebody's saying, I would love a part 2. Is that you, Audrey? Julie Baxter says, my thoughts, Trump is too business driven to appreciate nature. One day we'll come full circle and appreciate what we love. I don't know. I don't know if he will. But I don't know if he will ever be an environmentalist. That doesn't make him a bad president. What we need right now is a powerhouse to clean the swamp. And if he's making a few concessions, I'm not thrilled about it. What I want to see is the swamp cleared, and then the next steps. For example, wouldn't it be just too awesome for words if JFK Jr. really does reappear? Because that's what QAnon is hinting at. And that's what JFK Jr. hinted at. He said he was going to, what was the exact quote? Avenge his father's death, even if it meant taking down the whole government. Then he mysteriously disappeared, which I never bought for a minute, the whole airplane crash scenario. It really was a setup. He was Trump's best friend. And if you look at his magazine, George, the name of his magazine was George. The last edition said something about 2020. So there are a lot of clues here. And nothing would make me happier than to see Trump, Kennedy 2020. And I think that's a possibility. And if that happens, then, we can look forward to other policies, other changes, hugely disruptive changes underway. But right now, I think Trump has given some concessions to the people that he needs behind. He needs somebody behind him. I think he also has star people behind him. I think he has the Guardians behind him. And I think he has a lot of patriots behind him. He has military behind him. And he has a strong Republican support behind him. So I'm not thrilled about his policy for the planet, but I'm just hoping that it will come. Let's give the man a break here. And by the way, when we hear about all the wonderful policies that he's destroyed, I'd like to see what these policies are, because planet Earth has been under attack from politicians forever. What policies? We want to talk about all of the oil spills? That spills are questionable. Look at the Gulf. These constant spills. Are we sure that that's what's really happening, or are they deliberately dumping there for other reasons? So yeah, I'm not thrilled about the existing policies, and I'm not thrilled about the new policies. But I'm praying that we're going to get through this phase right now, and then we can start to clean up the planet. By the way, sure has had a cleanup in this corona. Oops, the word that could get me busted. During this time of the health issue, planet Earth has been rejoicing. The whales are reproducing like crazy, the dolphins too. Animals are coming out of the woodwork. It's been a great time for planet Earth healing. So that's what I have to say about that. And my heart hurts too for planet Earth, Nicole. But I believe we're going to see it come around. All right, time to read your comments now. Some of them were black goo and said it was an oil spill. Yep. He's walking a tightrope. He is. I mean, imagine, how can anybody hold up to that much hatred? It still stand. Ridicule, attack, legal threats, witchcraft, and he's still standing. And that says a lot. Okay, who is JJ? John F. Kennedy Jr., look it up. And if anybody saw the, I'm sure you did, you saw the event at Mount Rushmore, you might have noticed that there was a man standing at the top of Mount Rushmore with his arms stretched out, because the rumor was that JFK was going to possibly appear at that event. And so some of us were disappointed when that didn't happen. But we've got this picture of a man who we don't know who it is, standing with his arms outreached at the top of Mount Rushmore, which would have been impossible, utterly impossible to access with all that security without permission. Who was that man? Was he there to look like it was JFK Jr., or was it JFK Jr.? And then the voice that it comes at the beginning of the fireworks, it really sounds like it's Jay talking about freedom and the land of freedom and whatever. It sounds like him. Watch the video. Okay, yeah, I'm going to start winding down pretty soon. And I just barely scratched the surface of your questions, but I will come back and do more. Let me see here. Oh, you did see someone. Yeah, it's there. Look at the... if you haven't seen this, you got to see it, guys. Look for the video. And there's also circulating, there's this picture of this man standing. I mean, what kills me is a lot of people don't take the next step and question things like, what is that man doing on there? How did he get up there? There's all this worry about the security issues for Trump to be doing this event there. And a guy just gets up to the top of Mount Rushmore and stands up at the top in the middle of the speech. Who was that guy? There's two possibilities. One is that it was JFK, and the other was it was somebody that they wanted us to think it was JFK. There's no other possibility that works for me. So if it was JFK, hallelujah, JFK Jr. And if it was them trying to make us think that it was JFK Jr., hallelujah to that too. Bring on the real deal. I'm so ready for him to appear. Okay. Is there going to be a pole shift? I think I'm going to have to save that for the next talk because I'm starting to get a little bit tired and I'd rather be in full juice to discuss that. So let's see. I watched you save the ocean video. It was wonderful. I'm a Pisces. Yeah, I started this organization, Save Earth's Oceans, and I couldn't manage it because I didn't have funding. So I had to put it on hold for a while. But in my life, I'm going to reactivate it and I'm going to do some things, big things. There's a lot I want to do. And, a lot of it requires funds and I'm no fundraiser, but I'll get there. All right. So Deborah, thank you for listening. I'm going to start signing out now and I want to say goodbye to everybody. So Simply Sax, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Lamb. Yeah, Julie, be sure and watch the video. The video. There's a video and there's also a picture of him standing on the top of that. Thank you, Ella. Can't find the picture of the man on Mount Rushmore. I'll see if I can find a link and post it. Okay. Watched your SF library. Oh my God, that was a long time ago. I don't even remember. Oh, I was promoting the emissary back then. Thank you. I appreciate all of your support. Guys, as long as you're there and I'm helping, I will be here. It has to make sense. So as long as you resonate and trust, I'll be here for you. Please be with all you here today. Pleased to have you too. Okay, everybody. So recap, I will probably come back with another question and answer because this has been fabulous. And it will be soon. It'll be soon. Maybe even this week. I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know. Thank you for all the love. I really feel it. And, it just makes my life. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Take good care. Go out and make magic happen. And remember, you want to change the world? Be a lighthouse. When you walk into the room, you determine how people are going to react. You determine it. And if they start with the rhetoric about why aren't you wearing a mask, yada, yada, you go, I am not going to have an argument with you. Because whether you wear a mask or not is not going to change my life. Okay? I am a free soul. I am a sovereign being. I will determine my health. And if that means, back to the question before we go, of what happens when they tell you have to wear one, that is a decision a lot of people have to make now. Personally, I'm going to tell you something. When I go to the grocery store and I've got that ridiculous thing on, I put it on just past the guy at the entrance, slip it back down over my nose, walk through the supermarket, nobody looks, get back to the cash register, slip it to about here, and walk out. That's all I'm willing to do. That's the only concession I'm willing to make. But it's different everywhere, and you have to find where that is, that place, that level that you're willing to tolerate. And you might just have to quit your job. There's a lot of things that might have to change for you. And you know something? If you can't be true to your soul, you're lost. So find where your level of truth is and do it. You'll always land on your feet. Okay? Just remember, set the tone. Let people feel that light move in and wonder what just happened. The light just went on. Be a lighthouse and watch how the world resonates to it. And don't forget the mantra, because that's how you really push it out there. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for so much love. and support and interaction. This has been really, really great. I can't believe I waited this long. I will be back to you soon. Thank you, guys. I love you. This is Patricia Cori signing out. Take care.